Welcome to Tantra Vidya show, the first institute of impeccable wisdom, the walking, talking encyclopedia, the divine sleep, the reticular formation. My mission, the impeccable wisdom, knowing which everything is fully known. My greatest discovery, Divyank, the divine design of nature with which the perfect objects are designed and created. Divyank is the result of 60 years of integrated education. Impeccable wisdom is enlightening, and integrated knowledge is empowering. The science of sleep. As medical science conventionally describes it, let's understand that first. A state of unconsciousness from which a person can be easily aroused by sensory or other stimuli. Number one. In sleep, the person is unaware of the environment and cannot do duties that require consciousness. During sleep, the impulse transfer becomes less frequent between reticular formation and the cortex. The role of reticular formation, the picture has been described right at bottom. You can see the cerebral cortex, you can see cerebellum, but in the brain stem, midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata, there is a circular structure which is called reticular formations. Thalamus is on top of it, so is hypothalamus and subthalamic structures. There is something which is called ascending reticular activating system in brainstem, which is responsible for wakefulness according to medical sciences. So this is just to describe how the medical sciences have described role of sleep and wakefulness. According to medical sciences, the entire system centers around ascending reticular activating system in brainstem, midbrain, pons, and medulla oblongata, and its connection with higher centers of cerebral cortex, cerebellum, thalamus, subthalamus, hypothalamus, other states of the brain. So I'm sure it's very clear, but when we are talking in terms of divine sleep, I have something else to share with. Now let's first understand ascending and descending reticular formations. You can, right in the brainstem, you can see the structure, blue things going up and red coming down. Red is the one which is responsible for inhibition or going to sleep. Connections on top have been given association of brainstem or reticular activating system. The rest of the brain has been very clearly exhibited in this particular picture. But here again, I have tried to bring another element. Let's understand what that element which I am talking about. According to ancient Indian scriptures of Tantra Vidya, consciousness goes and sleeps in Muladhara chakra or ganglion impar or coccygeal ganglion in the pelvic region when we go to sleep. If we have to go to sleep, the consciousness which is responsible for our awareness or wakefulness has got to go to sleep to ganglion impar or Muladhara chakra, which is exhibited right at the bottom. And that is where two chains of sympathetic nervous system meet at the bottom, and that is ganglion impar. I think we have already discussed that in sympathetic nervous system. This is what it is. But simple wakefulness, I totally agree with it. When person wakes up from Muladhara chakra or in the pelvic region, its consciousness goes to Swadhisthana chakra or reproductive organ, and then to higher centers of consciousness from which we are working. For a common man to be aware, once consciousness comes up to brain stem, the person is able to become conscious of surroundings around. Now, all the five senses are closely associated with brainstem. Eyes, second cranial nerve, optic nerve, also goes to brainstem and then to thalamus and to higher centers. Ear, hearing is also through the eighth cranial nerve, comes to pons and then to thalamus to the remaining centers. Smell goes to olfactory cortex and then to insular cortex to the rest of the brain through hypothalamus structure. Taste also is carried to the brainstem, a reticular formation, and then taken to thalamus, and those associations are also very clear. And all the touch sensations throughout the body also carry the information to the brainstem, from there to thalamus and to the rest of the brain. So from that angle, medical science has brought this awareness that once consciousness comes to the brainstem, you can be aware. Anything below then, you go to sleep. So there is not much of a difference between whether it is brainstem or it is a coccygeal ganglion, because right up to the bottom is what is inhibition factor, inhibiting reticular formation plays a part. So as you say, ascending reticular formation is in blue color, and descending reticular formation is responsible for sleep, is shown projecting being down. So, but I have brought it down right at the bottom of the spinal cord. So there is no disagreement because anything below that is inhibited. So I think from that we totally agree. Okay, description of medical science with respect to sleep and wakefulness and ancient Indian wisdom of Tantra, sleep and wakefulness is very, very clear. But I have brought a new element, the divine sleep. There are so many people who sleep for a very short time, and they don't need what is normally advised 8 hours sleep for human beings. There are animals which sleep for a much longer time. Child sleeps for a much longer time. But there are also animals which sleep for hardly few hours, like horses. But how do these people who sleep less but be still very conscious or super conscious of higher centers of consciousness, intelligence, otherwise, let's understand that as a part of divine sleep. I mean, they are they can work out certain things. As a result, they don't need too much of sleep to get rejuvenated at the earliest. How do they do it is something which I'm going to talk about in this particular video. The divine sleep, the result of Akhand Yoga. The recommendation as far as I'm concerned is Akhand Yoga or Patanjali Yoga. There are 10 stages of Akhand Yoga which we need to understand. If we can understand that, you can easily have a divine sleep, get all the benefits of higher consciousness, intuition, otherwise. What are the 10 stages? First, yamhas, the 5 virtues which play an important role to bring emotional stability. Niyams, the 5 disciplines, are also primarily designed to make emotional equanimity as our stabilizing factor. Yogasanas, the physical exercise or postures to make our physical body perfectly healthy, strong. Pranayam, the breathing techniques to mobilize more than enough of oxygen, which is absolutely essential for intellect, because brain uses glucose and oxygen only for energy, not anything else. Having done these 4 parts to make your physical body as well as the breathing and oxygen, glucose, everything perfectly, awareness or consciousness can be perfectly healthy. Then we have something called the mind, the senses. As long as our senses are distributed to the external world, are they disturbed, we cannot go to sleep. If we are so closely aligned, are disturbed by the external senses. So recommendation, fifth state of recommendation is pratyahara. Withdraw the senses from the external world. Now, withdrawing the senses from the external world, there are two ways. Either you close your eyes, close your ears, close your nose, everything is one. But Akhand Yoga does not believe in that. Keep your eyes open. Keep your ears open. Don't block any of those things. But still you can be seeing everything, but still undisturbed by that. If you can bring that kind of intellect, that kind of mind, that kind of mental control, then you have learned the art of pratyahara, or withdrawal of senses. Then when you withdraw the senses from outside, the mind is coming inside the brain. Then you create a shield around the mind, and that is dharana. Then concentrate the mind, pinpointed concentration for any subject and object for as long as you want to understand that. And that is what is intellect. And then go to even state of the mind when mind is not at all disturbed. When these things happen, you can go to sleep very comfortably because it is only mental instability, fluctuating mind, which is responsible for failing to go to sleep. So 8 stages of Patanjali very clearly show if you can control the fluctuation of the mind, you can go to sleep easily. But Akhand Yoga goes 2 steps further. It says, if you can awaken human soul consciousness within the body and internal soul within the central nervous system, you can go to much higher levels of understanding, and as a result, the resultant state in the brain would be exhibited in 3 forms. Patanjali talks about, Akhand Yoga talks about Nirodha Parinama. That means your fluctuation of mind has come to zero. Nirodha means zero. Ekagrata Parinama means there is a coherence, is a resultant of Akhand Yoga. Samadhi Parinama means there is even state of the mind. One expression which disappears, the one which appears and replaces it is almost identical to the one which had preceded. These 3 beautiful descriptions of Patanjali and Akhand Yoga are nothing other than beautiful reflection of alpha spindle you can see on either side. How did Patanjali 3000 years realize that alpha spindle is what is happening in the brain when mind is totally controlled? You can see zero amplitude at the ends, and amplitude goes on increasing as you go to the center and then reduces. You can just see the spindle, and there is a coherence in other thing. So that way, Nirodha Parinama, Ekagrata Parinama, Samadhi Parinama are the resultant state of Akhand Yoga to make you go to sleep at will, rejuvenate at the earliest, and wake up as and when you want. That is the advantage of Akhand Yoga when it comes to the divine sleep. Let's see whether it can be scientifically proven. Now, from medical science, we understand there are 4 states of consciousness or brain waves or rhythms which have been recorded by the neuroscientists. What are they? There are 4 states. Number 1, delta rhythm, 0 to 4 hertz, is found in unconscious state or during deep sleep. When a person is gone to deep sleep, his EEG would reflect more of delta rhythm than other rhythms. Second is a theta rhythm, 4 to 8 hertz, that is a transition from wakefulness to sleep. This way neuroscience work that transition from wakefulness to sleep is represented in the form of emergence of theta rhythm 4 to 8 hertz, 1 by 1 represents that state of sleep. Alpha rhythm 8 to 12 hertz, which can be equivalent for divine sleep or yoga nidra, with open eye. That means if you can produce alpha frequency 8 0.73 hertz throughout the brain with eyes open and eyes closed, anywhere and everywhere. You can literally means you have controlled the mind. You can go to sleep as and when required and wake up as and when required. If you can do that, that is what the divine sleep I'm talking about. Then beta rhythm is a fast rhythm from 12 to 30 hertz, and this represents thinking mind, mental calculation. Most of us produce beta activity from from entire brain or occipital region when the mind is at rest, other thing. Whereas alpha frequency is produced only from occipital region or parietal when mind is at rest and person is totally asleep. If you can do exactly the opposite of it, that means you have you're master of divine sleep. Now proof, power spectrum AG, my own eyes, open eyes. You can see in this particular thing, I've shown with the open eyes. I'm not showing with the closed eyes. With everybody can produce alpha frequency with closed eyes, but with the open eyes, no. And that is what is called alpha block or desynchronizing alpha activity. A predominant coherent alpha spindle of 8 Hz throughout the entire brain spectrum is what is seen in this particular picture. And in this picture also I have shown on the right side, there are higher centers of consciousness. Right at the bottom is the brainstem, then to hypothalamus, to the cortex, and the outer layer was the neocortex. Once you are able to activate higher centers of consciousness and concentrate there, your intellect will improve, your intuition will improve, your memory will improve, your recollection will improve. When you have a perfect knowledge, in that event, fluctuation of the mind will not be there because fluctuation of minds are invariably associated with ignorance, or doubts, or do not know how to deal with the different situations of life, and as a result, you cannot go to sleep. A person who is totally enlightened, is empowered, can go to sleep at will, and that is what is divine sleep, and that is exactly what I'm trying to explain in the light of reticular formation, inhibition, what it does, ascending fibers, activation, how it does, and how, when you go to higher level, when emotions are completely at rest, mind is at rest, intellect is rest, intuition is at rest, everything you are totally aware, but you're undisturbed, and that is what Akhand Yoga is, and this particular picture represents that only. So from that point of view, I think the science of divine sleep, I think is very clear how the role of reticular formation or Muladhara chakra or anything inhibition below the brain stem is responsible for sleep. Anything beyond, going beyond the brain stem would wakefulness come. So there is no confusion between the medical science and this. Only to master the higher center of consciousness is what is objective of this particular thing. Now let's go to the next. This picture again, you can see all the 10 centers of consciousness, and you can see higher the consciousness you goes, your awareness, your emotions are under control, your mind is at rest, your intellect is at rest, and you can perform much better, your understanding will be much better, reproduction will be better, your health will be better. In every way you benefit. From that angle, I think this particular video has a very important role to teach us how we can manage to work for much longer time, sleep less, but still be totally rejuvenated. So I'm sure from that, I've shared my experience with the scientific evidence, and now it's up to the audience how they can use it for their own control over the mind, emotions, and higher intelligence to make optimum use of human life to be perfectly healthy, wealthy wisdom, and live for impeccable wisdom, and that's it. So thank you very much.